Hello everyone, it's Terry Crow, the president of Starfish Performance Consultants and creator of Progress to Success Management. Welcome to our training video today on Progress to Success Management's online training and coaching program. Delighted to have you with me here today, and this is week 4 of our training and coaching program. Hard to believe it's already been 3 weeks and we're on our 4th and final week together. Wow, it's passed by quickly. I hope that you have found that the training and the coaching calls and the work material that you have been completing have been helpful for you, and that you're already putting a lot of this into practice in your day-to-day work life, that you are discovering new ways to manage yourself, to manage conversation, to be more effective at cultivating progress, and being more effective as a high performer in your job, as a manager, as a leader, as a business entrepreneur. I really hope that this is serving you and helping you make your difference and contribute at a higher level. Well, what we are going to be covering in our training video today is the third and final domain in Progress to Success Management, and that domain is Manage for Success. Now, you might recall that in the first domain we talked about how we learn to manage ourselves. So it's manage yourself. And in that domain, the emphasis was on how to cultivate a better understanding of ourselves that would produce the clarity that would help us be able to take actions and to move forward. And we learned about personal pillars that would ground us and help serve as guides and ways to help us make decisions and to better understand ourselves and to manage our space. We talked also in the domain, when we studied the domain of managed conversation, there we learned about how to get better at cultivating conversation and dialogue that expressed our authentic selves, but at the same time produced clarity that helped us be able to make purposeful progress so we could continue to move forward and increase in our effectiveness and our abilities to really interact with impact. Okay, so we've learned how to manage ourselves, we've learned how to manage our conversations. That leads us to this third and final domain, which is Manage for Success. I can't tell you how many times that I hear from managers and leaders today about the struggles and the challenges that they face every day. You know, these are exciting times, no doubt. They're also turbulent times. These are times as managers and leaders and business entrepreneurs that we have, they're unprecedented. We've never been in these times before. You know, the markets are complex, extraordinarily complex. We have technology which helps us, but it also adds an element of complexity as well. You know, we have fierce and really savvy competitors who are just chomping to take away our markets and to challenge us at every step along the way. You know, our backyard is now the world. The good news is the backyard is our world. The challenge is that everyone is competing for business. Challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis, problems, complex problems, demands for creativity and innovation, which is the new normal. You know, it's create and innovate or you're not going to make it. So all of these things are swirling around right now. They're swirling around and they are ongoing for anyone who's in the business world today trying to make their difference. As a result, it requires new ways to face these challenges, and new ways for leaders and for managers to find ways to be successful, to manage for success. So that's what this third and final domain is in Progress to Success Management. It's all about how to discover ways to manage for success. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Well, manage for success. First and foremost, it is the art, not the play-by-play rule book. It is the art of getting things done through people. First and foremost, manage for success is the art of getting things done through people. Now, I hope by now, after the weeks that we've been through in the training videos before, that you've come to discover that my perspective on being a great leader and manager is not taking some sort of cookie cutter approach that says one size fits all and you must do this and you need to be this way and say this and so forth. No, it's about tapping into the art of managing. It's tapping into the way of managing and expressing and leading that's based on your authentic self. You know, when I'm a leader, it's based on being my authentic self, and it's an art. Getting things done through people is how we get work done, and it's an art. It's an art. So, manage for success is about getting things done through people, and it's an art. But what I'm going to show you is that while it is an art, there's also some very explainable ways to structure it so that we are able to get things done in an organized sort of way. So the art of getting things done through people in a way that involves connection and involves creating. Those are our two weaving words that are applicable for the Manage for Success domain. Now, you might remember that the weaving word connect and connection, we also found that in the Manage Conversation domain. Connection is so important when it comes to being a great leader. How you establish those connections, how you make them solid and strong and to serve a purpose. It's a vital competency for leaders to be effective. So when we talk about connection in the Manage for Success domain, we're talking about how as a leader, how as a manager, how as a business professional, that we strengthen connections between ourselves and others, how we strengthen connections and relationships between others that we lead. You know, how do we go about proactively cultivating that and making it happen? How do we cause connections that results in sharing of information, connecting ideas, connecting ways of seeing things that have never been connected before? You know, how do we as leaders go about in a proactive way making that happen? That's what connection is about in the Manage for Success domain, managing connections. The second weaving word in this particular domain is about create. I really love having create as a weaving word in the Manage for Success domain. So let me ask you a question. In your role, do you think of yourself as a creator? You know, as a creator? Do you think of yourself as being creative? How do you see the concept of create operating in your job as a leader? Well, the Manage for Success domain says it is one of the two most important weaving words that matter in the Manage domain. So create, when we talk about create, what we mean is that as a leader, it is incumbent upon you, us, to find ways to help unleash the creative potential within the people that we lead. How do we help bring that out of the people that we lead? How do we do the same for ourselves? And we're all creative. How do we tap into that creativity? How do we as leaders help to promote and to foster work environments that inspire, that cause the generation of insights and creativity? How do we go about doing that? That's what creating is about too. Creating is also about how we bring a future into existence and to create that never existed before. So the creative aspect goes back to this notion of management being an art. It's about tapping into the creativity elements that are in us all in a way that allows us to be able to launch and skyrocket our levels of performance and contributions in ways that we never would have thought are possible before. We can do this. We must do this. Creativity is a non-negotiable for survival, and when really cultivated, it can help us to thrive. So the two weaving words here are connect or connection and create. How do we create? Now, what are we connecting, what are we creating in these two other pieces of the definition of Manage for Success? Well, we are connecting present. What are we connecting? We are connecting present actions. One of the pillars, you might recall, in Manage Yourself was being present. It's about presence. We exist and live in the present. And Managing for Success is about how we connect present actions together, how we piece them together, how we determine what they are, how we help lead others to do this, how we connect present actions, and how we use those present actions to create an intended purple cloud, which represents the future. One of the main ways of adding value that comes from leaders and managers today is that we are able to help inspire, to help lead, to help show the way to the future. We are future creators, and we are leaders that help others realize that future to which they commit to as well. You might remember from some of our other conversations and other training videos and coaching calls that when we talk about working together, one of the words that I've used often is this word commitment. So we're talking about how as leaders we are able to inspire and lead others to this future that's a shared future. It's one that others are willing to be committed to and to help work together to progress towards that future. We are creators of a future that never would have existed if it weren't for our efforts with others to get to that future. So here we're talking about how we envision the future. How do we determine what that future is going to look like? Short term, long term, smaller picture, bigger picture. But how we determine what we want that future to look like, and how we connect present actions to reach that future. I think that's so exciting to see that as a manager, our job is not to control other people. Our job is to help connect present actions to get to this future that never would have existed if we all weren't working together to get to that. Now, it's not all roses and songs and dances and everything. I understand that sometimes and often that is a struggle. It's a struggle to do it. And yet, there are ways to help make that struggle worthwhile when we get to that future. So, we're talking about then, and I've sort of alluded to that already, we're talking about how we work with others, how we lead others in a way that helps them take action after action after action that leads to a future. And it's an action where there is a connection between them, so that day after day after day after day after day after day, we are leading others and ourselves along the way to help create this intended future. Because after all, our job is the art of getting things done through people. We are future creators. We are artists. We are leaders. We do all these things as we manage for success. Well, this is the definition, and those are the weaving words, connection and create. I now want to show you and introduce you to the foundational concepts that are a part of the Manage for Success domain. Now, these foundational concepts are the building blocks to help manage for success. And as we learn to focus on these building blocks, which I will break down in the next training videos, as we break those down and learn what they are and how to practice them, they are foundational elements that will help us to become leaders and managers that help us manage for success. So, you might recall that the way that we remember what the foundational concepts are in Manage for Success is what is called connecting parts. And as you can see, each of these letters is capitalized, which means that it's going to be the first letter in each of these 5 parts that work together. Now, these 5 parts are connecting parts. They can be looked at independently and stand alone. They are key elements for managers to be successful in this new business normal. They are foundational. So while they are independent and can be looked at as standalone, they really get their value when working together. They tend to build upon one upon the other, so they're essentially building blocks, and they are connecting parts. And as the parts work together to produce a blended whole, that is when we find that we can get the real results that are possible from the Manage for Success domain. As we become experts at practicing each of these parts and having them work together. So let me introduce you to each of the parts, and then, like I said a second ago, in the next training videos, we'll talk in more detail about each of those parts include. So, the very first one, are you surprised? The very first part is progress. Progress. Obviously, the name of this online training and development program leads with the word progress. Progress to success management. If you leave with a nugget of anything from all of this training, I hope that you remember the importance of progress. Any leader, any manager, any person who wants to make a difference as they are inspiring and helping others move forward and achieve their objectives and their goals, progress is absolutely key. It's instrumental. And I'm so glad it started with a P so I could lead it with parts. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done. So, because it has to be the number one, the first, and the leading element of the foundational concept for connecting parts. Nothing feels the way progress does. Your number one job as a manager, as a leader, is to help people make progress on a day-to-day basis. It is at the heart of the art. Ooh, I love that. It's at the heart of the art of how to get things done through people. It is the heart of how we learn on a day-to-day basis and help others to connect present actions to get to that future. It is through progress. And we'll talk a lot more about what progress means, but you know, it's this person who's moving forward, moving onward in a direction, who has a starting point and who's headed toward a future. It's progress. The second connecting part is this notion called autonomy. Autonomy. As human beings, we all want to have a say-so in matters that affect us. We also have within us unique capabilities and talents that only we have. As managers, our role as we manage for success is to find ways to tap into that unique potential that's within each person and to unleash autonomy so that each person, and including ourselves, that we are able to really turn that talent and turn that potential into performance. So as we look at the area here for autonomy, as leaders, we are looking for ways to be able to let that potential flow in other people, and to find ways to help people work within the context of what we have to work within, but in a way that allows them to contribute in a way that they are uniquely qualified to contribute. So that's what autonomy is, and we can see that as we see this person who's looking to stand out in only the way that this person can stand out. Okay, the third is relatedness. Relatedness. No, I'm not talking about hiring only relatives so everybody's related. That's not what I mean. Relatedness refers to this desire that we all have to be connected in some way and to establish bonds with others. So where autonomy, we're looking at individual contribution. Relatedness, we're looking at finding ways to tap into and build teams and groups and looking for ways to harness the talent that's possible as people interact with each other and form groups and teams. And so we show that as people are, working together and sharing information and finding ways to produce through a group what isn't necessarily possible to produce on our own as one single person. So that's relatedness. The next area is trust. Trust. Now you might recall that in the personal pillars under the principles part, I love all those P's, that trust is one of those pillars. I pulled trust out because it is so important. Trust in a work environment is like the atmosphere. It's like the air. Work environments that include air filled with trust, you're able to get things done. Without trust, things shut down, things get slowed down, things don't work as well. And since we're looking to manage for success, trust must exist for that to occur. And we'll talk more about what that means. And the universal sign for trust is the handshake. It evokes certain images about what trust means and how trust works within the work environment. And as managers, it is incumbent upon us to ensure that we are proactively going about the business of cultivating trust on a day-to-day basis. And then lastly, the final part, progress P, A, autonomy, R, relatedness, T, trust. The last area is one I really like too, and can't wait to share with you in more detail. It's what I call symphony. See, you didn't realize you were also going to be artists and musicians and all these creative types. You just thought you were managers and leaders. No, you have a broader and deeper and more important role. You also are responsible for symphony. Symphony, yes. Of course, as you might expect, symphony is about harmony. Symphony is about looking at talents of people, what they can bring to the table based on what you need. It's based on possibilities. Symphony is about looking at how things work together and connect to create and produce a symphony, to create something that never existed before, that when played out well with us, you, as the managers and leaders and conductors, that we're able to produce beautiful, harmonious music that also translates into success and business results and getting things done that help us get to where we need to go. That's what symphony is about as well. Okay, so those are the 5 elements of the first training video that have to do with Manage for Success. So we have progress, autonomy, relatedness, trust, and symphony. Those are our parts that we're going to talk about next. So what I encourage you to do now is to go and look at the second video where we will dive into more detail and explore these important concepts. I'll see you there.